Hello everybody, it's Damon. Crazy Logics in the forums and Crazy Logics 007 here on YouTube. Intro into number three video of the Machete here, of 4. And careful, it starts out a little rocky. I dropped the phone, we go bouncing around everywhere. It's a little crazy, but in this one we're going to be going testing out the FETs, making sure everything is producing sound right, double checking some stuff, going over some voltage that it has on the rail that it doesn't like to get rid of very well, so that's something you have to be careful of when doing repairs. And going through this, I am currently working on a speaker, trying to teach myself how to do sub repairs on some subs and stuff. And anyway, but what I wanted to talk about was the old school stereo. That's Derek Wilson's site, the oldschoolstereo.com, his YouTube and everything. They're doing SPL challenge with old school equipment, and so I'm going to have to do some videos of some repairs and change a few things up to do some of it, because I want to try to maybe enter it. And so I've got me a little note card here. So the classes are going to be 0 to 50, 51 to 100, 101 to 250, 250 to 500, and then 250 500 walled. I don't have to worry about walled. I don't have a wall in my vehicle. But I'm really interested just to try it, just to have fun, because I got some of these amps here. I don't have anything working for the 0 to 50, so I'm going to do the Rockford Punch 40 DSM that I have. That'll be the next video I'm working on. I've changed some things around so that I can do that, because I want something in that class. I don't have anything working for the 51 to 100, but I've got a Punch 75 I'm going to work on, and maybe an Orion 250SX for that class. Also, back on the 0 to 50, I have a SoundStream 5.0 reference class A 5.0 that I'd love to do for that 0 to 50 watt class. But anyway, I do have an amp for the 100 to 250. I got a Kicker ZR240, which is 60 watts by 2 channel. That's an old tank, and that's going to be an awesome one to have in that class. And then for the 251 to 500, I've got already working my JL 500/1. So I will be doing some videos on that challenge, and once they set all the rules and stuff, and I may try some of it just for fun. It's just for giggles, and do a little video of it and stuff. And since I got several to swap around, I could maybe do the different power amps all on the same sub or something like that, and just do some fun little readings. My readings, I'll do somehow, some way, set up something so I can do a reading and figure out which is the best, and then I'll take it up to the car stereo shop on the best ones to get an actual accurate reading for the class, or for the competition. If I go that far, I may not, but it'll be a fun little video to make. But been real busy. In the next video in the Rockford, I'll show why, besides moving and getting ready for all that. But I've had another little project I've been doing. It's kind of been fun, and my boys have enjoyed it. But anyway, on to the Machete video. I'm going to get the initial gluing up of this spider on here, on this coil, and start processing this. So as soon as the processing of this video is done, I'm going to start working on that Rockford 40 DSM. So look for that video soon, and then the last video in this series I'll also do too. So trying to get a few more out. Oh, excuse me, just had supper. A few more videos out. Just been really busy. So enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff everybody asks you to do. And we'll see you in the next video. All right, so we got it fed with okay, so we got it fed with an RCA, hooked up to the speaker. Jesus. All right, so we got it hooked up to the speaker, fed with the RCA. We're going to feed a signal into it, give it a test, see if this thing rocks. And if so, then all we got to do is order 10 new FETs, get them installed, you know, through the magic of YouTube. The next little bit you'll see after that will be, you know, installing the FETs, getting them to the right height, putting her back together and giving her a hard bench test as best we can. And so let's test it now. We are turning her on. And she is playing. I've got it turned down real low so we don't overheat it, but I can hit it a little bit, turn it back down. Yep, them FETs are getting warm. We'll shut her off for there because we need to get all the FETs in it. Get her clamped into the heat sink. You know, we'll get all the FETs in it, give it one last test, make sure everything's good. Put it in the heat sink, get everything clamped down, and then we will give it a final test. But somehow, some way, this FET and that FET went bad. We're going to put all new FETs in it. I may, off camera, I may take these FETs, move them up to the first position, give it a test just in case there's something squirrely, but we measured everything, seemed all right, so I'll give it a try. As long as nothing goes bad. That's probably where I should have put them in the first place, just to test, because that's where the others blew. That way if we blew them, we'd know there was still something wrong there. So I'll give it a double check. Okay, just to make sure, I've placed the FETs up in here in the spot where they had blown. Alright, and we are getting music. They're not really hot. That is all I wanted to test, make sure that was all good, so when we threw FETs in it, it'd be a-okay. Shut down the power. Carefully remove this stuff. Now, there's one thing, when I was getting ready to swap this out, I did a little test. And so we're going to put this up on 200 volt DC. And I did a little test. Let me make sure I'm getting the right legs. Yeah. Can you see that multimeter? Let's get that a little closer. We got 120 volts rail to rail. You notice how slow it's dropping? We're at 118.9, slow. There is only this tiny little resistor and this tiny little resistor draining these two caps. I went to go on solder these and I thought, hey, I better check because those are just two little caps. We don't have a whole bunch of caps like we have on, or sorry, two little resistors. They are draining that rail voltage really slow. There's still 115 volts there. You need to walk away and double check in a few minutes when that's drained. Now you can flip it and you can use discharge resistors to discharge these caps. But that is one thing you have to be careful of, because if you stick your fingers in the wrong spot, you're going to get a bite like you wouldn't believe. Could be bad. You start sticking tools in there, soldering irons, kaplow, things will happen. So be aware of rail voltage, and especially when there's only a tiny little drain capacitor, and we got 10 Ks here. and so they're going to take a long time to drain these rail voltage. So it's always a good idea to check with your multimeter. Let's get this in the camera. And I hope you can see that. That's still at 108 volts. So be careful if you're working on especially higher output amps and amps that don't have a good drain. My honest opinion, seeing how this doesn't drain very well, this amp was probably actually powered up just fine. Somebody decided, oh yeah, everything works just good. They may have even played it for 5-10 minutes. Now I'm going to mount it permanent. And they shut off the power. You know, I've got the power disconnected. There ain't no power going to it. And as they was disconnecting their speaker leads, they probably shorted the leads together and discharged these two capacitors, and it blew those FETs. So this is not the best of designs here as far as being able to take this amp out real quick and do other work. You know, you need to test it, wait, you know, walk away. I'm going to kind of do a timing here. And we're still at 102 volts. And that's with a speaker hooked up. I haven't removed the speaker or nothing, so, you know, normally that helps drain it out some, but in this case it is not, because it's not going through the FETs. So if you have an amp like this, and any amp actually of big power quantity, anything over 300 watts, you know, and you want to go changing and moving it around, unplug it, unhook it, the power, you know, don't have anything going to it, go take a 20-minute break, you know, hang out, do something, I don't know, and let that voltage drop. And then be super careful when you unhook the speaker leads and the power leads. You know, I use screwdrivers that I put insulation on and stuff. If I was installing these, I'd probably have Allen wrenches of some kind, and I'd put shrink wrap on them to shrink wrap and only leave the tip to work on it, so that I couldn't short it out. I'd be careful to pull and hold the wire away while I was unhooking the other wire. And so, something to keep in mind. I'll bet that's how this one died. It doesn't drain its output very much, and I'll bet the speaker outputs got shorted and it popped those FETs. They happened to be first in line, and it just went pop, pop. And these were the ones that took the shock of discharging these FETs at 120 volts, and it just blew them. So we're going to fix this up, and it'll be all good. Alrighty, so it's about 7 days later. Get that meter in there where you can see it. And we still have 3.2 volts on these caps. These things are holding a charge like you wouldn't believe. I don't even know where my discharge resistor is right now. There it is. Let's see if that knocked it all out. Yeah, we're down to 0.2. So, don't know about any of the other Alphard audio amps. I've only worked on one other Alphard audio, which was a Def Bonds, but these are all like, I think, Korean made. Boy, if you don't have discharge resistors, it's going to take forever. So maybe some of their other designs have better, but this little 1500 you have it powered up and you decide you want to go change things around or swap your speaker wires around or whatever, make sure you're super careful with your speaker wires and don't let a speaker wire go to ground, because it's going to discharge those poor caps through there and probably tear it up. So we are going to we got mailbag. We got our 640Ns right here. We're going to need to find a card. Make sure we get a good line. A little off there, a little crooked, but close enough. You don't have to be perfectly exact. You can make it where you're perfectly exact. Certain amps you might have to be more exact than others. This one's got the big clips that go on there, so a millimeter up or down ain't gonna kill it. So we need 10 of these suckers. So I save these. You'd be surprised, you know, if I took a bunch of these out that were good and I had a whole bunch, I could line them all up and kind of write used, whatever they are on them. Sometimes I have cut them up and used the plastic as reinforcement for stuff before. Remember me saying I'd like to goop this a little more? I could always cut me a little chunk of plastic out if I had to and angle it back here to there to help stiffen that up and put some goop on there. It would help. Alright. So, get my fat head out of the way maybe. These holes are good and tight. Probably going to have to get a board. Board here. I'll support this amp. Whoa, there they all fell down all at once. That first one's the right height. Sometimes you have to do them one at a time. I'm trying to cheat and do several. Pretty good. I'm just going to go in here. Solder on just a tiny drop just to hold it in place. And that is the reason why we do just a tiny drop and not on the middle leg. So we need to loosen it back up. We can wiggle her back up. Real easy. Secrets you learn after struggling really hard for a long time with getting the fets in the right height and positioned the way you want them. Alright, just got that little group set. Uh-oh, bent that. Catch flat pliers. Straighten those legs back out. Very, very gently. I don't want to fatigue them. Got a hole there or something that's not quite wanting to play nice. That's what your solder braid's for. Help suck up a little of that extra solder, that residue that may be there. Oh, we added solder. From the bottom side. Alright, let's set these for fix that by flipping it over. All look good. Let's be real careful and flip this over and see if we can't remedy the solder hole here. I think that's got it. Yeah, buddy. All right. everything's delicate flour. Now we can come in here. If you notice, the height that we're sticking out pretty even. We're a little different on a couple of them, but pretty much the same height as all these too, so they didn't have to trim them the way the amp sits in there. So when they designed it, what they've actually done is design it where they don't have to trim legs. It's just one less step that they got to do. And every step you eliminate, saves money. One of these days I'm going to get a real soldering station where I can just turn a switch off to undo my soldering iron. But I'm proof that you don't have to have all the perfect stuff to do this in your spare time. For your friends, family, yourself. You know, you may be a smart person and want to learn some electronics and repair or something, and this might interest you. You may enjoy car audio, but you may not have a bunch of spare money. Well, you kind of learn how to fix some stuff. You can get these amps sometimes just given to you. Other times super duper cheap when they're dead. And paper towel. Little tip, if you got a hot air rework station to evaporate your rubbing alcohol, that's 91% too. Highest you can get, the higher the better. You don't really want any water residue. You see it leaves a little light white dusting. That's the water residue. Alright, we're going to set our meter to continuity. Make sure we don't have any solder bridges. The little tiny beepy here is just capacitor charges. If it was shorted with a solder bridge, it'd be loud. Alright, very good. that looks to have got that taken care of. Rubbing alcohol spill over here. Can't remember if it was a dollar store or Walmart, but everything's always dollar store or Walmart, cheap as you can get it. Just a little metal dish. I spray my alcohol in to dip in with cotton swabs whenever I'm cleaning that way. All right. Make sure we are recording. Yes, we are. Okay. Actually, we need to be upside down one last time. I'm going to hook some power up. I want to give it a pulse. Hopefully. So, put my little cover out here so I know. I would go remote. Here's the little terminal. So ground is in the middle. I don't care how often you work on them, I always check. You hook them up backwards, you'll blow stuff. Ask me how I know, because I fixed it. I haven't hooked it up backwards. I've always been kind of careful of that, so I've never blown one, but I have fixed amps that were obviously blown because they got hooked up backwards. And how I knew, this amp don't have it, but there was a big diodes like these in the power supply coming right off the main power lugs, and they were blown, and they're reverse protection diode. They're technically, hopefully supposed to be there to pop the fuse before blowing anything else, but it doesn't always work that way. Okay. We have our little lights over here. I'm going to see. Came on. We're stopping right there. I don't feel any heat. Charges up, comes on. Stop right there. I'll give it a couple seconds. Nothing. Nothing bad. So now, wait for it to come on. A big square wave. This must be the low side. That's the big square. Alright, we're still low. Whatever you do, don't touch both those at the same time. Remember, these caps aren't discharging for nothing. They may discharge faster now that the transistors are in. I'll have to check that because I may have pissed and moaned about this, and the transistors may help complete the circuit to run down through a couple of these other resistors, depending on what they are. But low side drive, that's that. That's the high side drive. All right, I'm going to pull you down here so you can see. I'm going to do all 5 low side drives. See if I can get you right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beauty. High side drive. Hold it a minute or two. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. Then we've let off the power. Nothing feels hot. Let's go back up in the stand. Get it back up in the stand. Plug back in the power to my phone. And we're going to turn that off now. I've just killed the power to it, and we got the FETs in. So we're going to turn that to 200 volt. And look at there. don't know if you can see that. I'll get that in there. We're still at 123 volts across there. So this little sucker does not like to discharge fast. So I'm pausing it. I'm going to go have a snack, do all those fun things. I'm going to let this discharge some, then I'll flip it over, discharge it more, and then I'll hook the speaker wires up. We'll give it the tiniest little music test outside of the case very carefully, real quick, just to make sure it plays at low volume, so we don't heat up these FETs. And then we will get everything all arranged. We will fix the coating and hopefully put this thing back together, get her clamped in place, and give it a real test.